what we see is that in holotropic states, people relive their own gestation and birth. Even beyond this, there's a whole archetypal, collective, or transpersonal conscious. And there, is the mystery of who we really are. You may see colors, fractals, patterns, your senses may get a bit more enhanced. Holotropic states have such an intelligence that they will take you where you need to go. So being able to go through these experiences is all super healing,
Hello, Javier. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Can you tell us a little bit about your work and what is holotropic breathwork?
Thanks, Catalina. Yeah, my name is Javier Charme, and I'm a clinical psychologist. I come from Chile. I direct the Grof Legacy Training for South America and for Spain, and also the psychedelic trainings there. So what is holotropic breathwork? Well, holotropic breathwork is a method that has kind of two lines, no? On the first part, it's a really deep healing therapeutic method, no? That allows you to work with biographical issues and even things related to your birth and transpersonal content of the psyche in a very effective way. So it's very helpful with different kinds of symptoms and emotional problems. And on the other hand, it's a very powerful, interesting tool for just doing very deep inner exploration and self-discovery. And this self-discovery itself is, at the end, spiritual also. So it's kind of psycho-spiritual work, And yeah, well, the main thing it has is that it works in different states of consciousness. And these states have been explored throughout human cultures, throughout times in different ways. But this is a kind of bringing them back into clinical practice, both for psychology and psychiatry.
What are the holotropic states?
Holotropic means holos is totality, and tropic or tropine is moving towards that totality. So it talks about this quality of certain states of consciousness that are psycho-integrative, that they have the capacity to open the psyche temporarily, and spontaneously they activate a healing intrinsic intelligence or potential that is in the body and in the psyche. And this catalyzation puts you in an inner journey that has many levels, and is quite healing in itself. So in a holotropic state, it's like the psyche activates like an inner radar or scan, and whatever has more tension or energy, cathexis, becomes conscious and becomes being processed. So in this way, the unconscious starts becoming more decompressed and functioning in a better way.
Can you give us examples of holotropic states?
Holotropic states include the states that you can reach through breathing practices, but they also extend way beyond that. There's many what you could call technologies of the sacred, which are different procedures that humankind discovered of how to go into a trance, into inner process, how to open the unconscious and open the inner eye and go within. So some cultures found that if you play the drum, you don't stop after a while. You change awareness, Or if you go into a sweat lodge and after 1, 2, 3 hours something happens there, Or maybe we start dancing together and we don't stop and we keep going, repeating certain movements, and then extremes of temperatures, and of course all the psychedelic plants that have appeared to humankind,
Where the holotropic states can lead us?
There's first like a door, which is like an umbral, and it's more like energy moving in the body. You may see colors, fractals, patterns, Your senses may get a bit more enhanced, which is not very meaningful in terms of psychological depth, But it's often like an umbral that people go through before going into the unconscious. And then often the first layer you find is your life. It's the memory of what has happened to you, both in positive and negative terms, As I was telling you before, the psyche has different levels. And the first level is called biographical or Freudian level. And there's two main kind of traumas there. Things that happen to us by commission, they call them, and things that did not happen to a human being, which are things that we had omission in relate to. So by commission is all kinds of insults and traumas, which can be physical, verbal, emotional, sexual, And these are experiences that are not processed in the psyche, because we have defense mechanisms, so when they do occur, stay in the psyche like an unprocessed open program. So they remain with certain weight in the psyche, and these are not just memories passive, but they also influence the way you feel. the way your body functions, the way you see reality, how you see yourself, how you see relations. Do you think it's a safe world? It's a mysterious place? It's a hellish existence? All this talks about us more than reality, because we see reality through a lens, and this lens is colored by your life experience. So holotropic states have the capacity of opening the psyche, and these unfinished, unprocessed, undigested experiences become processed. So the gestalt, psychological gestalt behind, can finally get close, and you can kind of overcome these traumatic experiences. And then also in traumas of omission, things that didn't happen to you, and I mean like good breastfeeding, being looked at, being held and cared for. No? When there's omission of this kind, it's very hard to work in therapy, because you cannot explain how it feels to be loved or contained. No? But in holotropic states, when a person is in deep regression, it's possible to offer physical contact, and this physical contact, when it's given in the right way, it becomes introjected by the psyche, so the person it becomes like a possibility for themselves too. That's on the biographical level. No? And then there's another level of the psyche called perinatal. Peri is near and natal is the birth. No? So it's related to the gestation and the birthing process itself. And what we see is that in holotropic states, people relive their own gestation and birth, and when there are real problems there, they become the first main important trauma for most human beings. And because the psyche is very new, it's like a new record, no? Like a virgin record. No? This trauma, if it's complex, becomes very central in the organization of the whole psyche. Some people relive it totally literal. You feel the big head, small body, and going through every little single detail that happened there. And with high doses of psychedelics, it's so realistic you cannot stop it. And it's going to be the main issue for the next many sessions, probably until you're through it. Now, when you're really through it, even partially through it, when you start resolving these deep stagnations of emotional sensations and feelings, etc., they really have a big influence in your life. You start feeling much better, no? Like more comfortable in yourself. So Freud would say that we are born like a tabla rasa, like a black whiteboard, no? And then your experience begins constructing. No? But what holotropic states show is that the birth itself leaves a very important first imprint that relates then to many different emotional problems, which are kind of accentuated through life experiences, biographical experiences, but there's already a referent in the psyche. No? And this goes to pretty much all the symptoms that you can experience, which are like the building blocks that build emotional problems. So the perinatal problem, which is the death rebirth level of the psyche, when it's worked through, has a very important influence on many different symptoms. We're born physically, says Grof, no? But not emotionally. So we're still carrying on a lot of this hurt within, and you cannot talk this in therapy. It's not something, I remember, because it's a bit deeper in the unconscious. And then even beyond this, there's a whole archetypal, collective, or transpersonal conscious. And there, is the mystery of who we really are. In there, there's like a memory of the whole of creation, because we are this creation. It's like a reflex within. No? So you can experience a species, for example, from fish or animals or birds. They are behind, through our ancestors and different cultures, different moments within time, and then the whole of the creation of the planet Earth, and then even beyond, the whole cosmogenesis. Which this sounds very far out, but the truth is, this is what we are. We are this, we're not separate from it, we are part of it. And somehow the memory of all this, in terms of consciousness and information, this is available to any human being. So being able to go through these experiences is also super healing. No? Some people, psychiatric patients from Stanford, for example, they had problems, emotional problems, that were not solved in the biographical, not in the perinatal, but sometimes only in a transpersonal experience of a past life, only then they become healed. So this is kind of the whole broad range of the psyche, what the psyche really contains within. And holotropic states have such an intelligence that they will take you where you need to go. It's like a self-tailored process that the psyche directs. So there is no mistakes, no? It's not mediatized by a therapist. We just prepare the person goes, and then they get their own healing. So one beautiful thing is that healing really relies on the subject, not on the person. We are not healers. We have no superpowers, and we don't see nothing, no? We just tell you how to do it. You do it. We can help you if necessary. Then you draw it, and then we talk about it, no? So it's very clean work in that sense, no? It's work you do for yourself, by yourself, and the merit is all yours. So